sandstorm is crazy. I don't know if this is a common phenomenon in Death Valley or I am just here on a lucky weekend. This is what is left of Lake Manly. Car camping sounded like a great idea. I'm not sure about it now that I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, at least a mile off the main road, by myself in the desert. This is at least 44 miles an hour, and I would say a little bit stronger. So I stayed last night here at the Atomic Inn. I am in Las Vegas having lunch with the dogs. I am on my way to the airport to pick up a rental car. News reports said a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon was happening in Death Valley. Badwater Basin was now a lake you could go kayaking in. I had to see it. I have the car. Next step, luggage. I decided to camp in my car the first night and get a hotel the second night. I thought about renting a kayak because I really wanted that experience to kayak in Death Valley, but my budget said no. So I brought my camera instead. Let's hit the road. The drive is about 5 hours. The road gradually narrowed from a multi-lane busy freeway to 2 sparsely traveled lanes. And then as I got closer, looks like there may be a fire or something over there. That's in the same direction I was headed. Not a fire, just the wind. That's crazy. The wind was wicked, and pretty soon I was driving right through it. It's better now, but these winds were creating an almost whiteout experience with the sand going across the road. So I had to pull over because I couldn't see. But we gotta keep going. We are headed into another sandstorm. You could actually hear the sand hitting against the car. It's not making any noise now, but it was noisy a moment ago. The sandstorm is crazy. I don't know if this is a common phenomenon in Death Valley or I am just here on a lucky weekend. But everybody's traveling slowly and carefully, so it's all gonna be good. I made it through the sandstorm and to my first stop. I'll be honest, I'm super disappointed, but I realized this was a possibility. This is what is left of Lake Manly. A once-in-a-generation phenomenon here at Badwater. Still, I got to see the sandstorm, and my adventure isn't over yet. There's actually more of the lake here, closer to the parking lot over here, than there is out that way. I thought if I went out that way, there would be a little bit more of the lake, but that is not the case. There seems to be more of the remnants, the petals that are left over from Lake Manly. Can I just say, I am so glad I didn't rent the kayak. As the sun set, I took out my camera and got these photos. So the sun has gone behind the clouds here, but it hasn't quite set yet. I am car camping here in Death Valley tonight. So I am gonna go back to my car and try to find the trail up where I can pull off and camp in my car for the night. There was nothing to mark the turnoff for the road. Geez, my hair looks horrible. There was nothing to mark the turnoff of the road, but I had gone on Google Maps and I already knew that. So I actually drove past the turnoff, then turned around and came back and got it. But the rules for car camping are, make sure no one's behind me because I'm parked in the middle of the road. The rules for car camping is it's free, but you have to do it on only certain back roads, and you have to be at least a mile off the paved road and completely off to the side. So that's what I'm looking for now. I am just about, I don't know, 100 yards in, so I have a little bit to go before I am a mile off the road. So I am a city girl through and through, and car camping sounded like a great idea. I'm not sure about it now that I'm not here in the middle of nowhere, at least a mile off the main road, by myself in the desert. But it's not the worst idea. I set up my camera to do some long exposures. Most of them came out like this, near pitch black. I had my shutter open for 5 minutes on this one, which gives you an idea of how dark it was. I set the shutter for 15 minutes on this one, and a truck came by, so I got the light trails, which is kind of cool. I turned the camera in the other direction. I had no idea what I was aiming at, and I set the shutter speed for 30 minutes on this one. I loved the star trails, but I had the white balance set incorrectly, so the photo was really yellow. I changed the white balance and took this one at a 25-minute exposure. Again, I like the star trails, but it's not a great photo. With that, I went to sleep, got up at 4 the next morning, and headed back to Badwater to catch the sunrise. It's just after 5 a.m. and I have just pulled into the parking lot for Badwater. There are actually more people here than I expected. Sunrise is in the next half hour, 45 minutes or so, and I wanted to get here a little bit early and try and get some long exposure shots in the dark. Well, you can see it is now daylight out. The wind was pretty fierce. It almost knocked my camera over a couple of times, and I know it ruined some of the long exposure shots. That's okay. I hope I got something. I don't know if I got anything or not, but you know, you have to just come out and give it a try. So I think I'm gonna try and find some breakfast somewhere. I headed to Furnace Creek and stopped at this restaurant. I came to this restaurant for some breakfast and coffee, so important in the morning, and I found this 1800s saloon. How cool is this? And that's not all. Look what I found. This is the Borax Museum. Borax was the most profitable thing that was mined here in Death Valley. And these are, this is the Borax Museum. The interior of the museum is closed for renovation, but they have all of this stuff outside, including horses and buggies, a train, all kinds of things that were used in the mining process of the borax here. So this is really just a cool place to visit and walk around. You've heard the phrase 20 mule team before. Well, it is exactly what it sounds like. You had 20 mules pulling a wagon like this. This would be filled with borax, and they would travel 165 miles from here in Death Valley to Mojave. This is old Dinah. She was a steam tractor, and she was used to replace the 20 mule team hauling the borax to the Mojave. Eventually, she was replaced with railroads. And this particular piece of equipment was left abandoned in the desert and rescued here for the Borax Museum. Look at the size of this wheel. It's taller than I am. So my original plan was to spend the morning at Lake Manly, but it's no longer there. So I came over here to the Furnace Creek Visitor Center. By the way, the Visitor Center itself is really busy. I think there is an astrophotography event this weekend, so I don't know if it's always that busy or just today, but they have this newspaper, and it has a list of must-see things to do here in Death Valley. So I am headed to Dante's View, which is 5,500 feet above the Death Valley floor, and you are going to get some great views. It is so cold up here. I have no idea what the temperature is, but it's got to be 40s at least. But the view is spectacular. This is just stunning. You can see the valley floor behind me. The winds up here are comparable to what I experienced at the Vista House in Portland or in the Columbia River Gorge, and that I know was 44 miles an hour. So this is at least 44 miles an hour, and I would say a little bit stronger. There's a short trail behind me. I'm going to go ahead and take it for just a little bit, but it is so cold, so I don't know how much longer I'll be able to stay up here. So the wind was too fierce and it was so cold I couldn't make it over to the peak, but I got some great photos. Well, fingers crossed they're great photos. But I got some photos of Death Valley floor. It's totally worth it to come up here, but be sure you have something warm to wear. I almost didn't bring my winter coat because it's Death Valley, which is the hottest place in North America. But you know, I was car camping, so I'm glad I threw it in as a last minute. It's actually 46 degrees out there with the wind chill factor. It's probably down into the 30s. Yeah, this was cool. From here, I headed back into the valley where it was much warmer. I just got to my next stop, Harmony Borax Works, and the temperature here is 76 degrees. Much better than the 42 at Dante's Point. All the white you see in Death Valley is borax. Borax is a mineral with exceptional cleaning power. In the 1800s, the borax here in Death Valley was white gold, and the Harmony Borax Works refined it here, then transported it to Mojave for sale and distribution. This is where they would refine the borax. None of the tanks that they used in the refinery process still exist today, but this photograph shows what it looked like when it was in operation. This plant operated for only 5 years. Better grade borax was found elsewhere, and it was no longer profitable to process it in Death Valley. You can see how the wind is blowing the sand and the borax across the valley floor, so I think that is my cue to go. I headed out of Death Valley to the nearest hotel in Beatty, Nevada. I am at the Atomic Inn. I was able to get a room for the night in Beatty rather than car camping again. My hair is just an absolute mess. Car camping was fine for one night, but 2 nights I wanted a hotel room. So this is it. Simple, but this is a really cool old school motel. So I stayed last night here at the Atomic Inn. I am checking out this morning. This was a good place to stay. It was really nice. I mean, it's a mid-century modern motel, but the room was clean, it was warm, bed was comfortable, and they had great coffee. Did you know that Beatty is only about 90 minutes from Las Vegas? So, my next stop, Las Vegas, Nevada. The 2 sparsely traveled lanes gradually increased to a multi-lane busy freeway, and soon I was in Las Vegas. I am in Las Vegas having lunch with the dogs. I have family in Las Vegas who have a cute little doggo. So the lazy dog is one of our fave places to eat. Your little ones can make new friends, talk about their day, while you enjoy an excellent meal. Find your adventure.